Welcome to episode 4 of the Becoming Podcast, Built from Failure. I am your host, Rogelio Diaz, and today we are going to be touching on something very, very personal, very outrageous. And today I have my buddy psychologist Vivi Mark and Jen Palko, podcaster, author, and licensed acupuncturist. We are going to be diving into these cliche sayings that are so popular, are so known in the spiritual community. They're going to be just think positive. Don't think about it. It was meant to be. You attracted it to you. It's a gift. My favorite. Trust the process. Thoughts and prayers. Chosen ones. And a little bonus. They're your teacher. Hey. Right. But we are so excited to be here. Vivi, Jen, thank you for being on here today with me. And Jen, I would love to start with you and just hear, out of those 7, which one is the one that has affected you the most and you've seen the most, and just it's ridiculous what has come out of it. Go for it, bro.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us today. I think this is going to be a really fun topic. It's hard to choose just one because they're all golden nuggets, but as you know, but if I had to choose one, I guess I would choose "It Was Meant to Be," because I think this is just so vague. And this is like, what does that even mean? Or even some people say it's God's will, right? It was meant to be. I think this causes, especially when you're in a very vulnerable place in your life and you're going through a lot of inner transformation work, it's like this causes people to just not take action at all sometimes, and like you said, all of these kind of cliche sayings are half truths. So there is some truth to them, but people take them wildly out of context. And it's almost like a crutch or a form of escapism to use these terms. And this one in particular, I think, is a good one because, it was meant to be. It's like anything that happens in your life, you don't have to take responsibility for it. It's just that's just the way it is. I'm just going to give up on myself and not work to progress myself or work on myself or that kind of thing. So yeah, that would be my pick, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that. Right, it's the easy way to sign yourself off. It
Yeah.
really is in many ways, and yeah, things get hard, and right, like it's, and that's why it's a half truth. So many,
Hmm.
so many other, there's so many other meanings to certain things, but give it that, it could be an easy way to just give up, right? What are your thoughts on that, on the VV?
Yes, I'll go with my favorite one, which is the think positive, and it's a very good one, but at the same time, it's very dangerous. And I believe that when people are having really hard time, and someone is telling them that they need to think positive about things, is what it does invalidates how they feel, and it forces people to suppress their emotions, and actually is kind of gaslighting. So this is not your reality. You need to think in a different way. So ignore how the situation is. You need to change your view, and that's why it's very, very dangerous. And it is with people who are having really hard time, people who are very anxious, people who are suffering from depression, and when someone is telling them you need to think positive, it's like invalidates how they feel. And some people are feeling ashamed about their emotions. Okay, so or they feel like if I have negative emotions, that means that something is wrong with me, and that adds the whole negativity and all the painful emotions the person already experiences. So I hate this one.
And Vivi, that the one that kind of goes along with that one is when people tell you just don't think about it.
Oh,
right? My mother has said this one, and just don't think about it. And there's
okay.
something you may know in the psychology world called thought-terminating clichés, and that's what a lot of these are, where it just cuts off further discussion or critical thinking in anything. And people use this a lot, when they don't want to have, like you said, those deeper conversations or go within a little bit more or face something very uncomfortable, not only in themselves or with other people when they're conversing. It's a way to just shut down the conversation.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
especially here in Greece, we have the saying, when you see someone who is anxious, we tell them, don't be anxious. So
Like it's so easy.
yeah, stop being
Yeah.
anxious. Don't be anxious. So the person is like
Stop.
going like crazy with anxiety, and you tell them, yeah, stop being anxious.
Just don't do it. Just stop. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. Thanks for reminding me.
There was a scene on Saturday Night Live about that, bro. It's just like, yeah, just like he was talking to a psychologist, and he was just saying, just stop. Just stop thinking negative. And it's crazy. It's like, it's such a way to bypass. Such a way
It
to
is.
bypass so many things,
Yeah.
and like it's toxic. It's toxic. And that's how suppressed resentment happens as well. It's suppressed emotions, right? Like you just, okay, all right, you just shut me down,
Mhm.
It doesn't make you feel better,
Exactly.
put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the times, yes. All these cliches don't really help you. All right. Um, so when someone is having really hard time, one of the most important things is to be allowed to express their emotions. So all these things are actually denying their experience, and the person feels really uncomfortable about their feelings. So yeah, we'll have more cliches
Oh
here.
yeah,
Yeah. Roy, what do you have? You got one?
you guys know my
Your
Another
favorite.
favorite?
one.
You guys know
You
my
got a
favorite,
favorite?
bro.
I know your favorite. Spill it.
It's a gift. That and oh my gosh, it's like, again. I always use an
A curse.
example. Yeah, yeah, right. It's like if somebody punches you in the face and then tells you, man, it's a gift. It's a gift. Like, like, and then my second favorite going into that is, what is this bringing up within me? Right? Like, what?
Pain.
Why did this trigger you? Yeah. Like they do something, like something happened. Again, another way of bypassing. Something happens that's clearly wrong, that is hurtful, painful, and then like just find the gift in it. It's like you can't jump. Like maybe later on, like yeah, you'll see a lesson, you'll find value in it, but like you guys were saying, you can't just skip that. You can't just say it's a gift if your spiritual teacher is going off on you and in front of everybody, and you're blaming you for X, Y, like that happened to my girlfriend, and it's like, bro, that's a whole again, another thing, right, with spiritual teachers. But it's like, no, like you got to feel that anger. You got to say what you want to say, because again, that's where we bypass and we make, oh, that's just who he is. But and that's the thing. What about, they always make excuses for the spiritual teachers.
On. Right
What do you
on.
guys think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't always feel like a gift. Sometimes it feels like a curse, right? So maybe I don't know. It's packaged differently, I guess. But yeah, another one that I just want to bring up, that I wanted to touch on because I think is really relevant, and it's a pet peeve of mine, is when you know, spiritual either influencers or people talk about chosen ones. And this isn't really
Oh.
a saying or a phrase. It's more, oftentimes it's used as clickbait, you'll see on YouTube and things like that. This idea of chosen ones, to me, it has a very culty vibe language, and I think it causes a lot of division in people. I think if you personally feel chosen or something, is a very personal thing. It's not something that should be like broadcast out into the world to show your hierarchy over other people. So I think this is used quite often, and it makes people, like I said, create this level of polarity in people where they think, well, anybody who's lower vibration than me or anybody who is, on a different level in their lives, because we're all on different levels, right? Everybody is not good, it's not bad, it's just how things are in our lives. Um, yeah, I think this one's really it's a pet peeve of mine just on a personal level because I think it just creates more of that. Um, it's like this spiritual hierarchy, and it's just kind of culty to
Mm.
me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I believe, especially when you have vulnerable people, all right, people who are going through really, tough, they have really tough time. And you, I'm going to connect the previous cliche, it's a gift, with this one because I think there is a connection here. So whatever happens to you, you need to process it really, really fast, okay? And because you are chosen one, okay? Because you are a special one, because you are, it implies obviously that there is like a kind of spiritual hierarchy, and you are a special one. You are not, it's like, it actually isolates the person uh, from the others. And when you are feeling, you have a really hard time, and you believe you are a special one, and it gives you the excuse not to really work on your trauma. This is what I believe.
Hmm.
Okay, because you think that everything that happens to you, it was meant to be. All these are gifts, and just because you are a chosen one, you are different than the others. You don't need to process your emotions, and you don't need to um, do the healing um, because you are special. This is how it feels to
Yeah.
me. Okay.
Absolutely. And I think Vivi, on just a human level, it creates this, like we see in society all the time, this fear of other, or this looking down upon on
Mm-hmm.
other,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is a very dangerous kind of mindset to have,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it means I can't associate with this person because it's other. It's the same as being homophobic or racist in my book.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? I can't
Mm-hmm.
associate with this person because they're not like me, that kind of thing.
And there is some kind of a fear that the other person is going to affect me. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm afraid of the other person because I don't know how to deal with them. So in a
Mhm.
way, I'm, putting myself in a different position just because it makes me feel more comfortable to deal with the whole situation. It's
Mm.
like fear of other people. This is how it sounds to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Roy?
I think it feeds a lot into the ego, you know? Like
Mm,
even
gosh.
right, even with like when people say we're creators, right? Or I'm a god, right? Like there's truth to that. But I don't know, like, and I used to be a big advocate with that. And it feels like in the 144,000 light workers that came down, like it's only
Mm,
144,000 that, you know what I mean? Like I think it feeds into exactly what you were saying, Vivi, we saying, Jen, like being kind of at the ego, an ego perspective of being above other people. And it's like it's cool to acknowledge, yeah, we are creators, and um we all have special things within us or special gifts. But I think, yeah, the way that it's like the way that I perceive it is in that sense, it could be utilized in that sense of like it can be very egotistical. And it's like
Very
it's another
tribal.
huh?
yeah.
Very tribal,
Yeah, yeah. And it's
which is a very primitive, instinctual thing of being human.
yeah.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it feeds into the need of significance as well from
Hmm.
that term too, right? Like I'm a chosen, like I'm important, significant.
Yes.
It also
So it has. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that insecure people can feel better about themselves. Okay,
Mhm.
so if you keep thinking that you are special, that and especially if you are insecure, people gives you an excuse about many things about your suffering and all that. And but also there is another danger here. It may lead to isolation. Okay, so you are special. You cannot be with other people. You know, and this is the problem here, especially when you are vulnerable. If you think you are a chosen one, so you don't belong to the masses, so you need to be in a different place and not with other people. You need to protect your status.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I
All
just
right. What
hearing
else? I said, what else you got? Let's.
these perspectives are very, very unique, man. And that's why I love it.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a good combo just having us three on. Trust the process. That's the one I'm looking at. Like,
It's the most
guys,
common one, I think.
yeah, yeah. It could be so because you really you create your own meaning. Trust the process because you can the people that you know have all these dreams and have these ideas and it's an easy cop out, just trusting the process. It's an easy way of just saying, all right, well, I don't have to do it. I don't, like, all right, no, I don't, I don't have to get better at what I do. I don't have to learn. I don't have to improve. And I mean, I trusted the process when I moved from Chicago to Sedona, but that for me, it meant, oh, I don't have to get a job. I don't have to, find a way like it. And that's the thing. Like that put more pressure on my parents because of that. And it's like that you think that shit's just gonna happen, and it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
True.
what is the process? But we
yeah,
need to trust it
Yeah.
regardless.
I think that when someone says to someone, okay, trust the process, it's a way to relieve it's a relief to someone's anxiety, okay?
Mhm.
But at the same time, the fear here is that I don't have any control of what is happening to me. I need to go with the flow. I need to trust that whatever happens to me, I can't change it. I need to move only to one direction in or what is in front of me. And the other cliche that is connected with this one is trust the flow or go with the flow. Well, it's not always like that. You cannot always go with the flow and you cannot always trust the process because you need to stand still at some point and see what is happening around you and understand whatever the path you are in, if it's the right for you or not. Okay. So you need to evaluate the situation. But when you say like trust the process, you just move on with whatever happens to you. You may be impulsive, you may get all these impulsive decisions. But when someone is telling you trust the process, that means that you don't evaluate your decisions. You just act on your instincts.
Mhm.
And this is dangerous sometimes. Maybe dangerous is not the right word, but it can lead to other problems in your life.
Yeah,
Financial, emotional, yeah.
I think sometimes we don't really, like you said, it comes from a very impulsive or instinctual place, and it's like a lot of times we don't, you don't really know where it's coming from. Is it coming
Mm.
from a trauma, or is it coming from,
Exactly.
is it coming from a bias you have? Is it coming from other people? And you're not aware of it. There's almost like
Hmm.
static,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and you need to kind of work through that. But I think it's also it's not black and white, right? I mean, we have to pay bills, we have to do certain things that feel a little forced in our life. Yes, we want to go with the flow essentially and go with our intuition and what feels right and things like that, but it's not so black and white that I think a lot of people will put it. Like sometimes you do have to kind of force certain things in
Hmm.
your life just to be able to trust the process and the other areas of your life. Like, yeah, so it's kind of like, again, this balancing act. And this one really is a half truth because, yes, you should trust your intuition and trust, how you're feeling. But a lot of times, where is that feeling actually coming from? Sometimes you're not.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Eh,
Right.
I have a very personal attachment to this one because I was an advocate as well for just especially early on, with awakening, quote unquote. I would just go with the flow, and I wouldn't. That's the thing. You almost like I would stop my critical thinking. I would just have in a way, have other people make decisions for me. Like, oh, okay, it's all right. It feels good. And a lot of times it would be a distraction. It would be a distraction from what I actually needed to do or what I actually felt like doing. And it was very disempowering, bro. Very disempowering to at that going with the flow in that sense. And there's a time and place for it, right? But I think that that's what it does. And it does it's like it almost like it disempowers you, and you're almost giving your own power to others and having them decide for you. Just because maybe you don't, and that could be a way of not trusting yourself too, and just like very little things. Like my girlfriend Serena would say, "Hey, why don't we go do this?" And I'd be like, "Okay, I'm going with the flow." And but I'm like later on, I'm like, "Damn, did I really want to do this?" You know what I mean? Like, and it's just that's what I'm making. Like, it stops you from making decisions for yourself.
Yeah,
Does
it
that
could
make
it could
sense?
be a form of spiritual escapism in a lot
Yeah.
of cases.
Yes.
And a
Yeah.
lot of these terms are ways to convince ourselves and to kind of escape certain things that might feel uncomfortable in our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
True.
absolutely.
yeah.
Um, yeah, another one, and this one I threw it in there, just we threw in there because it's more religious based, but the thoughts and prayers thing, another pet peeve of mine. I just feel like some of these are very empty and hollow. They
Yeah.
have no meaning anymore, because there's no action behind them or nothing that really well, you just need to pray or you just need to, intend this in your life. And again, it's cutting off any further discussion or action or anything like that. So that was another one that I know I had brought up for you guys.
Do you mean like if somebody tells you I'm sending you thoughts and prayers, like in that sense, Jen?
Yeah, when there is a
I'm more
disaster or something.
Yeah, not so much in that. Like that's good spirited, good hearted, whatever. It's more like, I'll throw in it's not a very, positive thing, but school shootings in like this country and stuff, and everybody's thoughts and prayers, natural disaster, thoughts and prayers. But there's no action behind it. There's
Mm.
nothing that gets done. It's just words people throw around that have there's nothing to back them up. It's like how much do you really care if you're not going to actually do anything about it, you know? But
Yep.
that was my two
Empty.
empty words,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
it's funny. I recently heard this quote by Benjamin Franklin. I'm pretty sure it was Benjamin Franklin. And he said like that everybody wants freedom, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with that freedom. And
Mhm.
I think that could be more spot on, right? Or even like somebody like the actions, right, Jen? Like you see somebody suffering, and it's like, just hey man, just keep your head up. You'll be good. And it's years like that, and you can
Yeah.
do something about it, but you don't, and you just keep, like just hey, you keep your head up, keep your head up. But
It's an easy way to kind of blanket what's actually going on and the discomfort of a situation or seeing people dying or starving or whatnot. It's an easy way to just throw that out and be like, okay, I did my 2 cents, It's like on Facebook, it's like you get like this person, something happened. Okay, as long as I, write that, then I can relieve myself of feeling anything else or responsibility. You
Mm,
kind of know what I mean? Like that, it's a
Mhm.
way to kind of absolve any kind of further feeling or I don't know, or
Yeah.
thinking about it anymore. It's like, okay, I did my due diligence. You know, said my thoughts and prayers,
Yes.
and that's it. I
I
can
can
move
move
on
on
to the
now.
next thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
yeah,
No, I
She
absolutely
agrees.
agree. It's
Yeah,
same thing that like when you meet someone, you say nice to meet you. So it's like empty words. They don't mean anything
yeah.
in reality. I mean,
Or
this is how
or
it sounds to me with thoughts and prayers. You just say something
yeah,
that because you need to say something, and this is the most common phrase we use in this kind of instances. They
right.
don't mean anything if there is no action behind it. Exactly what Jen said.
Like you said, it's like you need to say it because that's like the acceptable
Yes.
thing to do. It's like when you haven't seen somebody in a while, you don't really want to talk to that person, but you're like, "Oh, how are you?" It's very empty and there's nothing behind it, but it's like that's just like what we do and how we say, and it's like the script you have to go through in
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
something like that.
Uh,
Yeah.
too, bro. That somebody asked me, "How are you doing?" It's like I don't even ask, bro. Like it's because good, right? That's what we're gonna
Good,
say.
yeah.
But it's more like
Nobody says terrible.
yeah, like, nah, I'm gonna tell you, I've been having the worst day of my life, bro. Like it's been horrible, But it's more
Yeah,
like when you're in public, like those kinds of things.
because you're going to
Well,
chase the other person away because they don't want to have that deep conversation. They just want you to, they know that you're going to
Yeah,
say good. It's the expected, verbal communication thing that we
answer,
do
yeah.
as humans. Yeah. Go ahead, Vivi.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
No, no, I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, empty words, they don't mean anything. I mean, yeah, exactly what you said previously. But we have some more cliches here, which I really like that if something happens to you, someone may say, "Oh, this is your teacher.
Hmm.
Is teaching you something," which is well, with all these cliches, all these expressions, okay, I don't think they're absolutely wrong. And it's not black and white, exactly what you said previously, Jen. But it's like the most important thing is when we use these expressions, what is happening, how the other person is feeling. So when someone is having depression and or because or something horrible is happening, like there is like some kind of a car accident, then someone dies, and then if you go and tell them that this is your teacher, for example, or it's teaching you something about yourself, this is a horrible, horrible thing to say to someone who is losing someone. Okay,
Yeah,
because
they're not going to feel better with that one.
yeah, or they, you may break up with someone and you may go back and someone may tell you, "Oh, this is your teacher." I remember that film, Eat, Pray, Love. They talk about it. Do you remember when Julia Roberts has a boyfriend and she says at some point that if you accept that every person is coming to your life is your teacher. So this is an expression we use in the spiritual community, but it's not always your teacher. It's teaching you something. I mean, it is teaching you something about yourself, but you need to have some kind of a balance. The way you interpret the whole experience is very, very important because if we are not careful, we may traumatize the person who has the negative experience.
Mm.
So we need to be very, very careful how we are using these expressions. Um, because if someone has, let's say, breaking up with their loved ones, okay, their loved one, and they're feeling really, really bad, and if we tell them that this guy is your teacher, I mean, this is the reason why you are breaking up, and it's teaching you something, but the way we say it is like if we are like blaming the person about this experience, okay, so it's very important how we phrase it and how we say that at what point we use these expressions. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Vivi, it's like abuse survivors, right? The victims
yeah,
of sexual abuse, physical abuse. Like it puts it more on them. Like, okay, that your abuser
yeah,
is your teacher, so that the victim is going to feel like, well, what
yeah,
okay, I just need to accept that I'm in this situation and being, you know what I mean, instead of getting out of a rough situation like that in those cases, or seeking help
exactly.
or something
And
like
it
that.
takes out the blame from the abuser in a way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And
and
we blame the
responsibility.
victim. Yeah.
Right? Said my Serena recently went through some stuff, and it's like the teacher went off on her and in front of everybody and just out of the blue, and he he didn't even have anything really valid to say, bro. And then it's just like it's like it's almost like a fault mind thinking, like, oh, he's just being himself, like, but what are you over here? What are you doing, right? Like, why? Like, it takes away the full responsibility of the spiritual teacher and puts it on again the actual freaking victim, and then
Mhm.
they have the nerve to say he has the nerve to say, "Oh, I wanted her to reach out to me to empower herself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's insane, bro.
And
The
she
delusion.
was like, wait a minute, this is so psychologically manipulative, probably, right?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
just what
She
I mean.
recognized that.
You're in a vulnerable state at retreats,
Yeah.
right? You're there for healing, and you're getting traumatized. And it's not again. This is going around everywhere. There's many more stories popping up now, and some are more subtle, some are more abrupt like that. But yeah, it's like I don't care if you're. I don't care. Even working with ayahuasca 20 plus years, you do something like this as it's clearly right from wrong. Like, bro, I was close to going over there where he was at and just giving him a piece of my mind. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't care, bro. And that's the thing. We put these people on a pedestal because we think they're so much more knowledgeable than us, and like, no,
They're chosen ones.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. They're in a place of authority, so, chances are, okay, they're in a place of authority, but like the little minions or the little, they're they're the ones who are wrong, right? I mean, we see this throughout not just spiritual community, but just in society, like the hierarchies, like
yes.
you said chosen ones, but just the hierarchy of like, okay, this person's in a position of power, so they must never be at fault, right? You can't question them.
It's getting more and more exposed
Yeah.
in society and the spiritual communities, bro. It's crazy how like yeah, man. Like all the stuff going on with the participants in there, like um all these spiritual leaders doing just you know what I mean, like bad stuff, bro, bad stuff, and
And
just like
that
tough.
and that's why these thought-terminating cliches exist, because it shuts down the further discussion. It's like, okay, well, trust the process. It's a gift, like, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and it's just, yeah, don't question me. That's it.
I would like to share a personal experience. When I was in the New Age spiritual community, it happened to me many, many times. People tell me, uh, don't think negatively, okay? So you need to trust the process. All these cliches, all right. And the thing is that back in the time, I was feeling very, very vulnerable. I was very, very anxious about my life. I was impulsive. I was taking all the wrong decisions. Anyway, and what happened was that every time I was trying to say something about what I was going through, people were stopping me. They were stopping the conversation with these cliches. And the end result was that my depression was becoming too much for me. Okay, I was in a really deep depression. Okay, and the problem was that I didn't have anyone to talk to, because every time I was trying to say something, people were like twisting my words, or they stopping the conversation. So I ended up not being able to express myself fully and express my emotions. And this is why I got very upset with the spiritual community. And this is when I started having sessions with a psychologist. Okay. And it affected me a lot because I was in a very vulnerable state. I didn't know what to do. I was homeless. I didn't have the money. So I was very, very vulnerable back then. And when you hear all these things, it makes everything worse. Okay. Because at that point, I needed to express how I felt. Okay. I didn't need empowerment back then. I needed to process and express my emotions. And all the people around me were using these expressions, these cliches. And that made everything worse. So that was my experience. And this is when I was really fed up with all these spiritual teaching or expressions or whatever.
Yeah, I think
That was.
it can be a invalidating experience, and Vivi, like the whole spiritual new age, people portray themselves on paper as wanting to go deep and connect with people, right?
Mhm.
And being close to your spirit and your heart, and but then when they might be faced with like what you went through,
Mm-hmm.
trying to actually connect and communicate, your feelings, you get shut down. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, where is this line between true spirituality or true connection with people, or it just being a front where people
Mm-hmm.
just shut each other down and stay
Mm-hmm.
kind of closed off, and just kind of like people like the topical of how it
Mm-hmm.
looks on paper
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. What do you think, Roy? You agree?
A lot of that. There's a lot, and
Yeah.
I've just from experiencing and being again so deep into like the new age spirit. I didn't even know I was like that was actual term at the time, right? Or even now, like the most spiritual people that I've seen that I've known, they are the ones that are the most messed up, bro. It's crazy. Like just again going to retreats, going to um and hearing about other people's experiences, like there's so much hypocrisy that goes through what they say and what they do. So I don't trust any like these like top cats out there. Like I don't really trust any of them, bro. Like I'm it gets old seeing the same pattern and seeing how they take advantage of participants, of assistants, of like it's all the same stuff, and a lot of it is business too. It's still like you take advantage of people barely stepping into the scene, and um, they call you friend, this and that, bro. It's crazy. Like you got to wake up to this. Or you will get used, and yeah, that's how I feel about it, bro.
Yeah. And sometimes using spirituality as a business, it's like mixing oil and water together. Like
Like,
two very different things.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you are in this spiritual community, everyone is repeating the same things. Okay. It's like an echo chambers.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear the same things again and again, and you just, you know, you, you just repeat what you have heard. You don't really use critical thinking about what is happening, because most of the people, exactly what you said, Roy, they're messed up people. They want to belong to somewhere. So spirituality is their way to do it, and they will go to a place where everyone is talking about the same things, repeating the same things again and again. So they think that, yeah, this is the right way to express yourself and say things. Or the other thing, the other cliche, not cliche, but I remember in the spiritual communities, people that didn't know, I was meeting them just once, they would tell me, oh, I love you. I'm like, I don't love you. I just met you. How can I love you?
Yeah, yeah, I don't like that either. I don't like that either. Especially
Yeah.
if you're somebody's like, I grew up shy and very like my heart is closed, so I have very few close friends, and I just can't you can't throw the word around, but some
I
people
agree,
do, like you
Jen.
said.
Yeah.
Just throw it around like it's empty words, like thoughts and prayers, right? I love you,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, ugh.
I went to this
I'm
retreat for the
sorry to
first
anybody who does
time.
that, but
Yeah, I went to this retreat for first time. I met some people that were hugging at the end, which I wasn't feeling comfortable with. But anyway, I did it. And then they were like, "Oh, I love you." I was like, "What? I'm not really. Yeah, I love you." I mean, I just, it kept. I said the same thing, but I wasn't really. It wasn't coming from my heart.
your
It was.
definition of love and their definition of love are obviously different.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know what to say. I had to say something, so I just said, "Yeah, I
Man,
love you too."
and,
Oh,
and
yeah, I don't remember your name.
But they love you.
Yeah,
I could
sure.
agree more. I could, and that's another. You guys just reminded me. That's another way people bypass. Oh wait, they hit you over the head with the hammer, but they love you. They love
Yeah.
you. You know that they use you to help them make money, but they love you. Like it's crazy, bro. Another way, just to like bypass what's really going on. And
Yeah.
I mean, and that
And
too. Like when you're in that vulnerable state, going to retreats, again, going into starting your spiritual journey, quote unquote, bro, you we too easily let people in, right? You can have a complete psychopath come into your circle, and you guys are your best friends. You barely known them for a month, and you act like you've known them for 10 years, and again, you treat them like family, but it doesn't really make sense. Like when you really think about it, and you're in that state, you're on top of the world, dopamine's going, is coming through left and right. But I was talking about this with my partner, and we're like, why did we let people into our personal world and be in our vulnerable world so easily and fast early on like that? It is not smart. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because it's our tribe. This is what we've been saying again and again, that
Yeah.
if you are spiritual, then you belong into a tribe. And when you are vulnerable and you want to hang on something, you're going to hang on anything. Okay. And you want to belong. It's necessary. You need to do something. So um, you let people in because you need to belong, and this is the echo chambers again. You just let people in because you think that this is the right thing to do. This is the way to do things in the spiritual community. Okay, so no critical thinking again. And the other thing which is important to say is that most of the things we are discussing are personal experiences. Okay, we are not talking, it's not theoretical conversation. These are personal experiences. So we all experience things like that, and we know from, very well that these things do not work, and actually all these expressions can be very dangerous at the end.
Yeah, and from a psychological level, like the more you repeat over and over again, it's like a commercial, right? The more it gets
Hmm.
in your brain, and then you're starting to think because you see other people talking about the same phrases, and you're like, oh, it must be a collective thing, right? It must be
Yeah.
we're all
Hmm.
thinking the same because it's a collective. But really, it's just it could be the algorithm for one, right? If you see this
Yeah.
stuff online,
Hmm. Hmm.
or it's just because they're used over and over again. So it might not
Yeah.
be that we're actually feeling into the collective that we're all connected. It's just that these phrases have been running around for so long.
Oh,
Yeah.
spiritual vocabulary.
It's spiritual
Yeah.
vocabulary. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
You know,
100%.
you know what's crazy too, Vivi, Jen? Like, we don't even question this. We just,
Mm.
Mm.
know what I mean? Like, we don't even question this. Okay, why? Why should I accept the process? And why when people say it was attracted to you, like when you go deeper and you think for yourself, and you start to question these things, and like angel numbers, that's a big one. The lady that created it, angel numbers were created. This lady gave 444 a meaning and emotion attached to it. She created and wrote a book and put it out there for the spiritual community. And now she's going completely against everything she said. She said she's
Mhm.
saying she gave her life to Jesus, and now she's saying no, like that.
Oh,
It's silly. It's dumb. Like don't go by that. And
I
people
see
are
44
still
all the time, right?
they're
That's
everywhere.
my jam. That's my number, but it makes me feel good when I see it
That's
because it's
why
something synchronistic. So it's like
you
I
feel
see it and I
good.
feel reassured.
That's
but
what.
again, okay.
Go ahead. Go
But
ahead, baby. Go
again,
ahead.
all the people, the majority of people who are in the spiritual community are people who are insecure. They want to belong somewhere, or they're going through they're having a really hard time. So they need quick answers. Okay, and all these cliches are quick answers. You attach meaning to experience, and that relieves your anxiety. But these are quick answers. Why I'm going through that? It's because it's a gift. It's because it's teaching me something. It's because I'm a chosen one. So it's a quick answer. So you don't have to, use your critical thinking. You don't need to because you have your answer. Okay,
Mm.
it's because you're going through a spiritual awakening. And when you are going through a spiritual awakening, that means that you need to trust the process. Everything is a teacher, and everyone is a teacher. Everything is a gift. You are a chosen one. So very fast, you are going into, I don't know, a situation or a phase in your life where everything makes sense. Okay. So because you need something to relieve your anxiety, this is where the problem starts. Okay, and
Yeah.
why? instead of asking yourself, why am I feeling anxious? So all these clichés don't really, I don't think you go deep into your emotion. You don't process your emotions in a healthy and how can I say, or not a healthy way, in a way that is not going to traumatize you. Because when you work with a psychologist, with a therapist, there is there are very, very specific guidelines on how you work all these situations or your emotions. But so for me, the spiritual awakening is again like a guideline. So when you're going through a spiritual awakening, this is all these expressions follows your journey.
We never want to, as humans, we never want to feel like we're the only one going through what we're going through. And I think it gives us a level of comfort to put a kind of label on it, or have this like group kind of thing that we belong to validate. The worst thing is the fear of the unknown for a lot of us, and not knowing what's happening to us, what's going on next. That's just like our human, what we always have to kind of put a label to everything, I think. I don't know if that makes sense, kind of.
From my personal experience, I was having I had lost my job. I couldn't pay my rent, so I was looking for something, for an answer. Okay, and back then I didn't have the money. I couldn't afford therapy. So when the spiritual awakening, all these videos, spiritual awakening videos, came through in my feed on my YouTube channel, then I've realized that no, I assigned a meaning in my experience. And when I started watching these videos, everyone was using all these expressions. Okay, so, and this is when I started using the same expressions, because I thought that when you are going through a spiritual awakening, then that you must trust the process. You must feel chosen one. You Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like you
yeah.
can't question
No,
what the overarching
it's echo
theme.
chambers. Everyone
Yeah,
is talking about the same thing.
right. Yeah, I agree.
That's the thing, right? Like, um, you feel good. And I once read this book. I was reading this book. I forgot the name of it though, but the guy was saying how basically our whole life is like a fight for control over our own lives. And I think with these
With our
cliches
brain.
sayings, right? Like they make you feel, and that need for certainty, and need for control, like it gives you that in a way, right? It gives you the certainty. Oh, I just gotta trust the process. Everything is fine, right? I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Like you feel good. It gives you certainty. And again, it's like why would you question that? It also kind of right, but that's the good and bad thing about it. But maybe Jen, just to wrap things up, there's I know people are waking up to this, like everything we've talked about today. Or someone who is kind of snapping out of it and is realizing, like, oh man, Vivi, Jen, Roy, this is true. This is true, and they're seeing how again they've been bypassed, how they've been manipulated. You could even say in one sense. What would you give them as a final piece of advice if they're waking up?
I would say, trust your heart over all the other BS, you see floating around, and all the echo chambers, like you said, Vivi. I mean, we are our own, we could be our own worst enemy, as we know, right? We're always fighting with our brain. It can be a blessing, or it can be a prison for a lot of us. And when you start to go into some of these spiritual truths, the highs and lows get more extreme. I think that's just one other thing I wanted to bring up. So just be prepared for that, is when, you're feeling the high, you feel good, but the lows are really low in your life once you start kind of tapping into all these things, because all these sayings and everything can make us feel worse about ourselves. So, my golden nugget is you have to trust what's in your heart, your own spirit, instead of everybody else's on the external. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Good.
Um, my thoughts. are coming from my experience, and I would say that um, look for the right help. There are many psychologists out there who are very experienced. They're very open to spirituality because many times there is like a fight between psychologists and alternative healers, okay, spiritual teachers and all that. But I think that what is happening to you is very difficult, okay, going through all this spiritual awakening, and you need the right help, the right tools. And I would say to people, be very careful about who to trust. Also, therapy doesn't cost thousands of dollars. Okay, you can find help, um, because sometimes people say, okay, um, they charge thousands for for healing, but I believe you can find cheaper therapy if you look at the right places and have the right tools, because it can be very lonely. And I think that sometimes in this journey, you can re-traumatize yourself, traumatize and re-traumatize yourself all the time. So you need to be very careful about whom to trust for your healing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Said, bro. Both very important things. Yeah, you got to be careful who you share your life with in that sense, because now they're gonna have influence, and
Mhm,
it can be good or bad, right? Um,
mhm.
yeah, really good
Exactly.
stuff, guys. Really good stuff. Um, and I would just say, I think what's helped me the most, kind of coming out of this over the last couple years, is just being more grounded and practical. Right? If I'm gonna spend 5K at a retreat and I don't have a job, I don't have, or on a program, and there's like, I can't just say, "Oh, the universe is gonna provide," bro. I've been so delusional in my own ways with that. But the more practical you are, I think the more it's gonna help you just make better choices for yourself, so you're not in stickier situations. And yeah, just more practicality. It's what's helped me tremendous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
thank you, Vivi. Thank you, Jen, for joining me. Where can people find you?
Uh, for me, I'm on all the socials, but I'm on Instagram, Jen_Palko. But also my main platform is my youtube.com/Jen Palko. And that's where I put out a lot of content and stuff like that. And I'm also acupuncturist on the side, so if anybody, always hit me up if you're in the Jersey or Pennsylvania area and are looking for a little guidance and stuff like that. I'm always welcome to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can find me on Instagram. Is my username is EFT psychologist. This is my username. This is where you can find me. I don't use my name.
You're good. It'll be in the show notes. I'll put it in the show notes either.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I hope you enjoyed another episode of the Becoming Podcast, and we will see you next time.